hard raising your parents. I mean,
It is. Because they adults. So it's hard raising adults. Because I'm like, and y'all know what I mean by going on. Because to me, it's like, this is an emergency. Time is of the essence. This has to be handled.
yep.
And they just going on like it's cute fly don't bother me. Let me fry this fish. Let me eat and have a good day. And I
Mhm.
don't get it. I just don't get it. Hi, this is Dr. Teresa A. Smith, Dr. TAS, and welcome to this edition of Real Talk with TAS and OnJerya. And as you know, OnJerya is my lovely sister who keeps me under control, she tells me what to do and how to do it. And it's like, I thought I was the older sister, but she really makes sure that I keep it together and I wouldn't have it any other way. Hi, Addie. Thank you so much for joining us. Hi, Miss Dot, for real. Thank you for joining us also. Hi, Kadaya, Mummy. I think I got it right. Thank you for joining us. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, she is something. And she just has a way of doing it. You know how those people can throw shade on you and you'd be like, I'm glad they threw that little shade. And so that's how OnJerya does it. We're from two different generations, same parents, same physical house, but we're so different. And I enjoy that difference because she keeps me young. Because, I got to stay abreast of what's actually going on. And she makes sure I understand what some words mean. Because she knows that half the time I don't know what she's talking about. But then it's like, oh, okay. So that's what she's talking about. I tell you, I just don't know. I don't know what they mean. I'm trying to bring her in. Let me see. I thought I had her, but she didn't populate. Let me see. She did not populate in. Okay, now, Miss OnJerya. Let's see if we're going to get you in here. Don't look like she's trying to come in. OnJerya, I'm trying to bring you in, but I don't. Let me try it again. Okay, I keep accepting. Let's see. Well, she did tell me we're in the shadow period. Shadow period for Mercury retrograde. And OnJerya is saying that you're unable to join. Let me try to send you the request this time, because let me invite you and see if I can get you in. Because it seems like you can't get in.
Girl, in the words of my line, sister, just raggedy.
Girl, I'm like,
It's just raggedy.
you did tell me we're in the shadow period. I'm like, what on earth? Well, did you finally accept my request? Because I kept requesting. I kept accepting your request. What
It's like,
happened?
it's like I logged in and you were waving, and I'm like, okay. And then I do what I always do. I submitted the request, and I never like seeing anything pop up on my end that you were trying to request from me, like send a request to me. So then I canceled the request that I sent to you, and then I just logged out and logged back in and joined. I'm just like,
Well, I sent a request to you. I don't know. I'm
oh,
telling you, I told him, I said, Unjay, it said that we're in the shadow period for
yes,
Mercury retrograde. So, if anybody understands that,
yes,
just got to
ma'am.
flow with it, because this is technology and we're going to flow with it. Well, baby girl, how you doing?
I'm doing good. It's
Well,
Tuesday.
you in this Taz Tuesday, Real Talk with Taz and Unjay, this exclusive show on IG. So I know you're doing great. I
Fabulous.
know you. Can you actually see me tonight?
I do. Like I saw that you had on camo.
Oh yeah, I do.
You think about it. I'm like, okay. And I love me um some camouflage, but I can never find what I like. Like I can't find it. I know, I gotta
Okay.
keep looking.
Any particular color do you like?
I like the blue and I've seen it in pink.
Pink. Okay. Are
I
you
mean,
looking
you
for
know,
a
like
top or
green
bottom?
bottoms, like
Okay.
skirt,
Okay.
short.
Okay.
Yeah.
Pink or the blue. Okay, I'll keep that in mind. Yeah, I was in my closet, and I said, "What am I gonna put on?" And so I said, "Well, Lord, hmm, I have not put these on." And you know, my stylist, my hairstylist, if she saw these, she would know exactly where they came from because I probably saw her with some on several years back. And I said, "Where you get them from?" And she told me. And I would have bought some stuff. And so I would have bought these. Well, she would never believe that I never put them on. But they say,
You're
I'm
supposed to
so
put that
clear.
on.
I know. And see, this is before your time. Some people may remember this. The jeans commercial where you have to lay on the bed and all these different ways you try to
I
get your
remember
pants up. You remember that? Well, I said, well, Lord, I may have to do all of that to try to get in these leggings, but I got in them. And I said, well, Jesus, that's good to know that I can wear them. I don't even know if I probably didn't even try them on when I bought them.
of
But
course you
I can
did.
wear them. Of course not, because I would have taken the time. I'm like, let me get in here and get this and get out. But that's just the way it is. So what's going on, Unjaya? I always look to you because you had your finger on the pulse. What's going on?
I don't know, honey. I got a lot of different things in my head. I've had a lot of different conversations about a lot of different things, and I'm like, ooh, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I
Or
don't
is that the conversation? I
is
don't
what
know.
I don't know. That might be the conversation.
Mhm.
Is I don't know, right? I've been pondering. I've been pondering. And I think it all probably comes back probably to the same thing. Like, that's running through my head. And one of it is communication.
Mhm.
The lack of communication, whether that's with your family, your friends, your coworkers, your manager, foe,
Mhm.
enemies, whatever. Just a lack of communication. And it reminds me of this time. Picture it, Sicily,
Okay.
Saturday.
Mm. There she goes again.
It is funny now, but I promise you it was not funny in that moment. Okay. So picture it, Sicily. I go home. Okay. I'm not going to give y'all the before what happened. I went home. But anyway, I go home to visit my parents because I didn't go see them for the 4th, right? And here it is. My daddy asked me to bring some stuff home, and I'm bringing the stuff in the house. And my mama's sitting at the table just casually eating her fish that they didn't even want, but I wanted.
Mhm. Mhm.
Back in to close the door, Teresa done called me, talking about how long you gonna be home. Girl, I
Yes.
don't know. I just got here. I don't know. I'm just here to get my fish cooked, visit, and then I'm gonna be boop, boop, gone. So as I'm walking back in the living room slash den, as she would call it, it was the living room that she converted to the den.
Okay.
It's still the living room. Okay.
The living
So
room.
I walked through the living room to then walk to the door to the kitchen slash dining room. And mama's all kept, uh, your daddy got a tick on him. Now, I'm not going to say exactly what was said at that moment, but you can imagine what was said at that moment. Okay. It was some beautiful language. Okay. I'm like, what do you mean? He has a tick on him. Well, where is he at? Oh, he's outside. He outside cooking the fish. I said, and you didn't handle that? Oh, no. See, we knew you were coming down the road. So we knew that you would handle it. And so again, there was some more language said, because I mean, my people know me. Okay. I am not the medical expert. at all. Okay, I don't do creatures. I don't do bugs. I don't do nothing. So the fact that she just calmly like, yeah, daddy has a tick on him. Well, why you didn't? Because I knew that you was gonna handle it. I said, well, how long have y'all discovered this? Oh, it was like an hour ago. And he just, moving like business as usual, just like do, 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 do. So long story short, he comes in the house. I'm like, Daddy, Mama said you got a tick on you. And he's like, oh, yeah, you want to? I said, I do not. I highly recommend that you go to the emergency room because, again, now I'm learning all this. Oh, no, it has the legs, this and that, that. And I'm like, see, that right there is an indicator that this is not for me. Okay. See, what I am good at, I do very well. What I'm not good at, I have no problem with letting you know that's not my area of expertise. I'm gonna have to let the professionals do with it. Okay. So of course he goes to the emergency room and he's able to, they're able to remove it, get him taken care of, and he's back before we leave because me and Trini went down the road to get back up the road. And I'm just like the lack of communication, right? Because why you didn't tell me that? Like, that was a conversation that should have been had prior to me getting to the house, that there was a serious matter, as we say. But we was acting as if it was just another day in the neighborhood. So I said to Mama, I said, Mama, why is it that you're acting as if it wasn't like an issue, like there was no sense of urgency? Her response was, now, there are just some things that I don't do. Now, when it comes to like nature and stuff, Ma, I said, oh, here we go. Here's one thing Mama said. Ma, Ma, Ma said, Glory, I just need you to keep this house clean and keep the yard clean. I said, that's all you had to do, Mama? She said, that's all I had to do. Then she goes into this, well, when I was younger, I wanted to pick peaches. I said, okay, here we go. Oh, I wanted to pick peaches. So, you don't heard that story? I have too. I heard it again on Saturday. Yeah, she wanted to pick peaches. So then she decided, oh, she gonna get on the bus with everybody else. So they go down to the peach orchard. Some of y'all know what that said, to pick peaches. And she said they kept saying, you, like Oprah, you got a car, you get a car, you get a car, you get a car. And then there go Mama by herself. And they said, Gloria, are you Miss Laney's daughter? She said, yes, sir. He said, okay, we're going to put you on the bus and take you back home. So then they take her back home. Of course, Grandma is there to greet her. No, Grandma's not there to greet her. She's back at the house. So when Grandma gets home, she see Mama there, and she asking her, well, how did it go? And she's like, Mom, they brought me home. They said that I was Miss Lane's daughter. And I wasn't going to be picking no peaches. I needed to come on home. And so Grandma would have said, now, Glory, I can't do it like her. Glory. Now
Glory.
Glory, you know, you know, you didn't need to be outside picking peaches. And so my response to her was, now what I'm about to say, Mama, I don't mean no harm, nor any disrespect, okay? So when someone put that disclaimer, that mean they about to talk mad, okay? I said, you didn't raise us to be outdoors girls. We're not outdoorsy people.
No.
You didn't raise us like that. She's like, well, because I wasn't raised like that. I said, okay, so if you wasn't raised like that, now let's put 1 + 1 is 2. Why did you think in your mind that man had a tick on him, that I was gonna walk in here and be like, da, da, da. Let me go ahead and just get it with the tweezer, and then you burn it, and then let me get my Inspector Gadget and make sure I got out. Why would you have thought that was going to transpire? Well, you a little bit younger than I am. Glory, glory, glory. You didn't raise us to be outdoors girls, okay? You didn't raise us. We was raised in the house, okay? Like we that's why now I go outside, I be like, honey, I gotta get back in the house. It's hot. I don't do heat. I don't do this humidity. I gotta get back in the house. So I say all that to say the lack of communication will have you messed up, especially with the wrong person, okay?
Ooh, yeah. And let me just say this, full disclosure. I was on the phone with OnJerya,
And
and
got
I
off the
said
phone
to
with me.
her, huh?
And you got off the phone with me.
Well, you probably told me to get out. Or either I said I'm not going to be bothered with y'all.
That's
And I
exactly
told
what
me to
you
get out.
said.
I probably said that. Yeah, because again, but not before I told you what needed to occur. I said he needs to go to the emergency room. And I stated which emergency room he needed to go to.
Absolutely.
Because y'all, I mean, I have somewhat of a medical background, and my middle sister has a medical background. But even still, no. And as I said, people die from ticks. Why are they sitting on this like, oh, it's just
Like I
another day
like
in the neighborhood, as you
what?
say?
Like I I told her, I said, y'all act like the man got a splinter in his finger.
Yeah, I mean, they need to move on it. And so then I said, well, I told Unjaya what they needed to do. Daddy need to go to the emergency room where they could get that tick off him. Because I'm asking the medical, well, how did he find out that he had one? I'm asking all these questions that she don't have no answer to. And so I haven't talked to have I even talked to Mama? I don't know if I talked to Mama. Well, I didn't talk to her yesterday. I have to go back in time. That bad way I have to go back in time. That was yesterday, it was Monday.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I talked to her on Sunday, and you were there on Saturday.
I
So I
was.
haven't talked to her, and I haven't talked to Daddy about it because I'm gonna have to scold them
Mm-hmm.
when I talk to them about that. Because, as I've said to them probably about 15 years ago now, I could see that we were making that transition.
Yes,
They're
honey.
independent. Our daddy just celebrated his 80th birthday last month. We had a nice event for him. And Jay still has not posted the pictures on Facebook. My other sister hasn't posted them. But needless to say, we had a good event. But about 15, 20 years ago, I said to them, I think we're making that turn. And what I mean by that is when the child becomes the parent
Yes.
and the parent becomes the child. And I mean that lovingly. And for those who have older parents, you know what I mean. Our parents have all of their faculties.
Yes.
They're not senile at all. But it's like, what were you thinking? And it's like, well, they won't thinking, obviously. And
Right.
so this is just another good example of it. And I'm like, and then here you talk about it today. I'm like, well, I might have to check my body because I've been in my raised bed. But the thing that I do when I go in the raised bed, if I know I'm going to pick something where my arm has to go in, I put on long sleeves. But Daddy has on long sleeves out when he's outside. So I'm like, okay, where was the tick, by the way? Do you know?
So it was behind like his ear type thing, like that little. Like I don't want to touch it because I'll get the itching. But
Okay.
I'm kind of doing the shoulder move, so it's that part between your neck and your ear. But like,
That, uh-huh. So
yeah.
how did you know how he realized it was there?
Girl, I don't even know. I didn't even ask no
Okay.
questions.
Okay.
I didn't care. I told them, see, this is the reason why we gonna put y'all in one of them homes, okay? Y'all gonna have to go to Shady Pines because why you oh, your daddy done been online Googling how to deal with what you mean online Googling?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Google to the
Um,
hospital.
well, I know you ain't talking about somebody Googling. Uh, what Dr. K said?
I know. Google is my friend. Now sometimes Google will have you thinking that you own own that last mile. But in this particular situation, he was like, "Yeah, you can do it. All you got to do." I said, mm-mm. See, when you start a sentence off with "all you
All
got to
you
do
got to
is,"
do.
nah, that I'm done with that one.
And the funny thing, I said, and was it Trinity said too? I remember being a little girl. Yeah, I remember being a little girl. But I remember when I was in elementary school, I can remember, and this was just a few days ago, I can remember people having a tick on them. And I don't know who the school person was. And the tick with the head would be in under the skin. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Like I said, she don't do stuff like this at all. And I can remember the person, and I don't know why I was with the child that the person had to tick on. So I don't know what, I was always doing something with somebody. And they would put heat to the tick. So they were probably doing a match. They could have had a lighter, I don't remember. But you wanted their head to come out. And I don't know how many times I saw him do this or I heard him talk about it. I had to see him doing it. And it worked out. But, Rocky Mount spotted tick. I think I said it right. People die from ticks. And so when you mentioned that, I'm like, no, he has to go to the ER because they have got to make sure that they get this thing off. But, the point is, it's well taken. This thing about communication, because that's what we're talking about, and how people communicate so differently based upon their experiences. None of us are outdoor people. I'm sort of becoming a little bit of an outdoor person, but
Only
not really.
daddy. Only daddy.
Yeah, that be that heat, and I'm natural, so that humidity, my hair just flops. It doesn't convert like OnJerya's hair. OnJerya's hair gets fuller.
As y'all can see.
Yeah, see, her hair gets fuller. Mine doesn't get full. It just flops. Because she's natural and I'm natural. But, and so, and even if I wasn't natural, I just don't do the heat. It's that heat. And I don't do bugs. But I do it a little bit better than the rest of them. But the fact that from my mother's, Miss Gloria's experiences, she knows she don't do this. And the fact that you just waiting.
Yeah.
As you said, she was sitting there eating her fish, waiting on you to get there. Dad is outside frying fish. And okay, so what were you going to do if you decided not to come?
And that's exactly what Alexa said. Alexa was
What you
like,
not going to do?
so if you decided not to come home, then what were they going to do? I said, honey, them your people.
So then I'd have had to call and be going off on them, is what you're saying.
Yes. It's hard raising your parents. I mean,
It is. Because they're adults. So it's hard raising adults. Because I'm like, and y'all know what I mean by going on. Because to me, it's like, this is an emergency. Time is of the essence. This has to be handled.
yep.
And they just going on like it's, shoot fly don't bother me. Let me fry this fish. Let me eat and, have a good day. And I don't get it. I just don't get it. And like I said, nobody has called me. Nobody has told me anything about it except for you. Well, I guess she knew you was on the phone with me. So she's going to be like, well, I knew she was on the phone with you, so I need to call you. But you could call, let me know that Daddy went to the ER after I told you to tell them he needs to go to the ER. And what did I ask you when I spoke to you? Because that was sad. I don't think I spoke to you on Sunday. Maybe yesterday. I was like, what happened? Did Daddy go to the ER? Were y'all still there when you got back? Yep, okay. Nobody, I mean, but communication is it's so important, and it's an underestimated skill. And it is a hard skill to learn. Because as I always say, when it comes to written communication, everybody enters the conversation from their perspective. And to me, I can see it very clearly when we're typing emails or we're texting, DMing folks. But you can see it very clearly also when you're having a communication when you're verbally communicating with someone, because people enter the conversation from where they are. And then you've got those people, and I have been that person, who is just waiting for you to stop talking so they can make their statement. But the thing with me was I was listening.
Are you throwing shade?
No, I was listening. But the person who brought that to my attention some years back, I was actually listening. Because I'm always listening, but I also know what I'm getting ready to say. And if I need to modulate it, or if I need to modify it, because modulate means something totally different, but still the same thing. If I need to modify it, I'm going to do that. But just because I take less time to comprehend than you do, doesn't mean that I wasn't listening to you. But I think about, what happened with our parents, which was a good example, but how when communication is not solid, how things can go away. North Carolina was just hit by the flooding. Our governor was in Durham today, I think I heard on the news. And they're saying that it may be some weeks or months before some of these roads are repaired. Um, and of course, we know the devastation in Texas. I think I heard before we came on that, and y'all don't y'all quote me, but there's at least 100 people, I think,
Oh,
they
wow.
confirmed. And maybe, I almost want to say 170, but there's still 100 plus people who are missing. And there's the conversation about the alert system. That's communication. You
Mhm.
know, they're saying there were people, the meteorologists were working, 4 or 5 meteorologists were working. So the alert system, it did. Why is it that folks didn't get the alert on their phone, or why did they not get it early enough? Communication is so important. I don't know who, what, why, when, and where. There was a plane that crashed in Lee County. Um, I could almost, I think their names are Sanford, if I'm not mistaken. It was a gentleman, his wife, and they had 2 children with them.
Mhm.
Everyone died. And they're well known. They have a farm, if I'm not mistaken. They're very well known. And they did a lot to give back to the community. They were coming in from Florida. And they were saying, I just happened to finally see the news because you don't never see the news. They were saying before we came on that they actually had an event scheduled this upcoming weekend that they would have been giving back to the community. But of
Mhm.
course, I know that just kind of broke me. But the people are going to come together as for a way to remember them, and what all they did for the community. I think one man said that when you were there, you knew that they saw you. It was so personable. Um, Communication. So, we're talking about just a snippet of communication that could have gone the wrong way. If you hadn't gone home, who knows if they'd have reached out and told us anything at all. You just never can tell with Miss Gloria. Y'all know Miss Gloria. Cause and Miss Gloria, she Miss Gloria. I'm gonna have to ask her about that when we next time we are communicating, and see what Miss Gloria said, because Miss Gloria is something. But communication is so, so important. And I don't know, I don't have the answer for it. I think that sometimes we get lax because it's like, you know what I'm thinking, you know how I talk, you know this and that. But, and I do, but sometimes you got to fill in the blanks because there are blanks, because you start talking and I don't even know the stuff that you're talking about, but yet and still you're expecting me to be able to dialogue with you. So yeah, I agree. Communication is so important. Miss Anjay, is just so important.
Well, I mean, knowing our parents, now again, I can't speak for other people and their experiences, but, you know, even though I was fussing, Lord knows I was fussing. I get it. Like, sometimes people feel like if I say it, there is not a sense of urgency. You're just gonna be, oh, whatever, you just blow it off, right? But if somebody else like brings it to your attention or address it, then now it's like, oh, like now that sense of urgency kicks in. And I think with with their situation, that's what she was thinking, like, oh, well, I'll just let Anjaya handle it when she comes home because I'm pretty sure she probably did say, well, you don't need to go to the emergency room, because my mama is quick to be like, have you
Is it
gone
the
to the
doctor?
emergency room? Have you
Is
been
it
to the
doctor?
doctor about that? It can be as simple as, oh, I broke my nail down to the white meat. You didn't go to the doctor about that? Like, she quick to call on go to the doctor. So I would like to believe that she did say, yeah, you probably have to go to the emergency room about that. And he probably was like, no, Unjaya. That's probably how that conversation. No, no, Jail can get it. Jail can get it. And Miss Gloria was saying, you just don't know your daughter. She don't do stuff like that. Like, that one doesn't do stuff like that. Like, she'll bandage you up, but that's about all you gonna get from her. Like, she not getting ready to do that extra stuff like the other two. Okay. But he had no problem, like, once I stopped fussing. I was like, you hurry it on up. I got to go take a shower. Then here go my make sure you don't knock it off in the shower. I'm like, again, I do think that sometimes the communication can be there, but they just don't want to receive it from you, right? Like, they will definitely receive it better coming from somebody else. And I have had my experience with that, not just only with my parents, but with, like, even on my job. They'll say, hey, talk to such and such, because maybe you can say it in a manner that it won't come across as being like, you know, trying to put them down. Like, you have a sweet delivery. I'm like, honey, y'all just don't know. I be trying to be direct, indirect, but direct, indirect, if you know what I mean. That indirect, direct, but indirect, direct.
Let me ask this, Anjay. I can't see in the room that I'm in. Is it dark or is it still daytime?
It's still daytime.
So I can tell a dream.
Oh, yes, it's still a little light outside.
Well, I'm not gonna tell it exactly how it is, but you just reminded me of something. I don't. Well, I have been dreaming. I have been having the best dreams. I've been having the most people in my dreams. I'm not gonna tell this dream because I don't even know what it was. I had Idris Elba in my dream
Oh,
last
you
week.
having a good dream.
I just have been dreaming the most stuff. And but this morning I was dreaming, and someone was in my dream, and we were having an event at the house, and the house had stairs because you said I can tell it, right? I still can tell it.
Yeah, it's still light outside.
Okay. And so there were stairs to go down. There were stairs in the house to go downstairs. And they were kind of steep, and some people showed up. And then I yelled down to the person, I'm like, how do you want these people to come? And even as I was waiting in my dream, I'm thinking, we should have already worked this out. You know they're not going to be tracing me in the house and going down there. You're going to have to meet them around back, on the side,
You
and I'm
wasn't
just
in
having all this
charge.
stuff in my brain, huh?
I said, obviously you wasn't in charge,
Well,
because you'd have had to
you
work
know,
all that out.
well, it won't, no, it really won't my event.
Right,
You know what
right.
I'm saying? Because it had been my event out of, yeah, it would have been like that. So I don't know whether I was, that's interesting. I don't know whether I was just there helping them. I don't know. So anyway, but before that part happened, this is the part that's gonna get you. I was asleep
Okay.
and I wake up and some people and a person is there. I don't know how they happen to be in my presence. Okay,
Okay.
you're gonna
Do
have
you
to
know
read
who it
between.
was?
I think they were a compilation of all these people that I had been working with.
Okay.
Okay, you work with me because you know what I'm talking about. And this is to make y'all laugh, but I really dreamed this. And so I think I said to them, "This is like a Saturday. Work with me. You know where I'm at now. You know what I'm talking. This is a Saturday, and I'm trying to figure out why are they at my house. First, I just can't wrap my brain around this. Why are they at my house? And so maybe I give them 10 or 15 minutes. And I answer their question, because you know what I'm talking about now, right? You with me, right? You know what I'm talking about, Unjerya, right? Okay. Well, it's a female. And so he is so funny. I got to tell you offline what happened today. He is so funny. So anyway, at some point, I became Miss Gloria. Because it's like we were done, and I look, and this person has picked up a broom, and they have started sweeping. And I look at them. I was Miss Gloria. Y'all know Miss Gloria. And I looked at them. I said, "You're dismissed." You're dismissed.
Ooh, you took it back to March, didn't you?
He is so ignorant. You is ignorant. Did I? Did I do that in March?
Mm-hmm.
Well, anyway, I did this morning, my dream too. I looked at this because I'm like, I guess I was starting to start doing things because of this event that was in this space, because we're at a house. And I'm like, why are you sweeping in this space? Who are you? And I know who they were, but why are you here and why are you sweeping? And I looked at him and I said, "You're dismissed." I was Miss Gloria. And I bring that up because y'all need to laugh. And I dreamed it. Y'all need to laugh. But communication.
Yep.
Because somehow or another, one, it's about boundaries.
Yep.
Because I should never have been having a conversation with them on Saturday, first of all. And I woke up and went right into having a conversation with them for some, I don't know why they were there. I don't know how they got there. And I'm thinking about this as this is happening in real time. I'm asking, what is this? Why are they here? And then it's like, well, I'm done with them. And then I'm moving about, and then it's like, they're sweeping. And I remember clearly saying, "You're dismissed." The way I said it the first time, "You're dismissed." And I probably took the broom from them. Because again, we've been all around it, but we're actually talking about boundaries.
Yep.
We're talking about when to act and when not to act. I am Miss Gloria's daughter.
Mm-hmm.
we I love Miss Gloria, TAS and Miss Gloria. I aired clips of my show with Miss Gloria on Wednesdays here on IG, but their house over on YouTube, Dr. TAS. Miss Gloria's a hoot. And that's something Miss Gloria, she probably has done it to me.
Mm-hmm.
You're dismissed. And you are a product of your environment.
Yes.
But it doesn't, bits and pieces of who I am, most of them don't really come out, except at the oddest times. As Miss Gloria says, she laughs, but at the oddest time, and Mama does. She laughs at the oddest time. It don't be funny, but Mama be laughing. Like, Mama,
Yeah.
why? At the oddest time. She does, because most of the time she don't laugh at all. But we're talking boundaries and communication, because also you have to know when it's over.
Yep.
When someone has provided what you've asked for, that's the end. Goodbye. A friend of mine used to say, he would probably say it now, and if he sees this, he's going to know exactly that I'm talking about him. He would say that when we get off the phone, when we say goodbye, that's it.
That's it.
And I never paid it any attention, but he would listen to us hang up. So whether I'm hanging up the phone with my mama, my daddy, you, Malay, Trinity, Lexus, I'm sure it'd be the same thing with DJ and Tifa and Jolanda. When we say, okay, well, I'll talk to you later, that's it. There is no back and forth. And then I would listen to them, and it's like, okay, because they brought it to my attention, because I never paid it any attention. And but he would hear me say goodbye. And he's like, because we'd be like, okay, man, well, man, okay. And then I started listening to him when he would be hanging up with people, and he's right. They go on and on. No, goodbye. That's it. Hang up.
Mm-hmm.
That's it. And so there are pros and cons of that. Now if I'm hanging up and I'm thinking about something as we were hanging up, then I'll just call the person right back and I'll tell them what I need to tell them. So it's not like that's it. But when it's over, it's over. And like I said, it's interesting that we're talking about this because I hadn't told you to drink because I hadn't even thought about it. I forgot about this. It's been a long day. But it was about boundaries. And I think what was playing out in my dream was a reminder to me that there are boundaries.
Yep.
And people need to know when it's over. So you're going to have to be very clear about concluding stuff so they know that that's the end of that. Goodbye.
Mm-hmm.
Have a good day. That's it. Because I should never have had to turn to someone who's in my house or in this space that I'm in, and they picked up a broom because you're not a guest.
Right.
You're not one. A guest wouldn't be picking up the broom. You're not somebody that's helping me. You shouldn't even be there. Why would you turn and pick up a broom after I've answered your questions? And I got to turn to you and say, you're dismissed. Now, see, they're trying to bring back, I love this movie. They're not trying to bring it back, but they're trying to bring it out of me, I guess, and I need to watch it. I don't know if I got a DVD player here because, I've got the DVD. The Devil Loves Who?
Prada.
They're making a second one.
Mm-hmm.
No, no, no. No. You know how I just love her. I'm going to see if I can get it on.
I'm telling you, she was a Scorpio.
Was she? Is it not a man? What's not a man? What is it? What is it? Was she a Scorpio?
That's Scorpio behavior right there.
I'm gonna have to pull it out
Yeah.
because that wasn't a question.
Yeah.
And people may think that I'm being, but it wasn't a question. And it's funny to me, and we're gonna get off of this, but we're gonna wrap it up and get off of it. Because I don't know if this has happened to anyone else having these issues with the communication, but I have a way that I do my there you go, UnJerya. I have a way that I do my emails and my texts. I leave them unread in order so I don't forget that I need to do something. That's personal or a business. I don't do anything with them until I'm ready to respond. And so because when I do, I want to be present.
Yeah.
I want to be able to actually respond and be fully present for that person. And I guess what I want to leave with is I'm gonna let you have the final words, Ajay. Then I want to leave with this. This is not a time to respond quickly to anything.
Yeah.
We must take our time, read whatever is being sent to us, make sure we understand it before we then respond so that we can respond appropriately. If someone is speaking to us, we need to make sure we understand what the person is saying before we respond. There's nothing wrong with asking clarifying questions. That's what we need to do is ask clarifying questions, whether that's in writing or that's orally. Because when we don't, we enter conversations based upon what we think. And that may not be what it is. People may try to infer. Sometimes when you infer properly, but lots of times what you're inferring based upon who you're communicating with, that's not what they're talking about. Because let's be real, they don't know what they're talking about. They're just communicating. And you have the audacity to ask them a question or to make a statement that's not even in their realm. They're not there yet. And
Right.
then they get defensive. They get defensive. You guys may know some of these people. You may be some of them people. Sometimes I might be that person. They get defensive. And then what happens is it becomes a tit for tat. You respond back. You're like, why did I say that? And then you respond back to them. And then you're back and forth. And before you realize it, sometimes you be in a heated discussion. Because I don't
Mhm.
argue with men. I don't argue with anybody. Because I just don't believe in that. Say, I have another side to me. And so I don't argue with people. Because if there's nothing to be gained, there's nothing to be argued over. So I don't argue with them. And T.D. Jakes said a long time ago in the sermon, he don't argue with a roach. You know, I like some T.D. Jakes. He be dropping them gems. If there's nothing to be gained, there's nothing to be argued over. But I have determined long before then that I don't argue with people because there's nothing to be gained. Because you're going to see it your way and I'm going to see it my way. And even if I see it differently, I may never see it the way that you see it.
Right.
So there's nothing for us to be bothered over because people have their own perspectives. But this thing about trying to be Johnny on the spot, what I have found professionally is that people try to be Johnny on the spot, but they don't read a thing. They read every 5 words. Reading, hear me, reading every 5 words is going to get you in trouble. Them 4 words that you skip over, they mean something. They mean something. And you need to read all of the words so that you understand what's being communicated to you. Many moons ago, and I'm going to give it to you, Unjerya, we're going to wrap this up. Many moons ago, I had gone to see my gynecologist, and he was not from North Carolina. I don't think I ever mentioned this to you. And I used to work in medicine, and my first degree is in criminal justice and psych. And so I actually read. And so there was some paperwork that needed to be signed. I wouldn't sign it in the office. And I told them I was not going to sign it. And so they would have told him, okay, blah, 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 blah. And so when he met with me, and I don't even know if I was already one of his patients or this is the first time that he was meeting with me, but I wouldn't sign it. And so his wife did his paperwork. She drew up his forms and things like that. And so I don't know whether I had to explain it to him or when I pointed out why I wasn't going to sign it. When he looked at it, he said, she's right. Because it wasn't written the way I understood what they were trying to convey, but that's not what was written. And I wasn't going to sign it, and I did not sign it. So it's not that I'm so smart. I was reading.
Right.
And I was reading to understand. And we've always been in a time where we need to understand what's happening. Well, that hasn't changed, and it's never going to change. Even with our advancements as far as AI has been here for a while. It's just only becoming more popular because we are aware of it, but it's been here for a while. But you still need to read. You need to read. AI is only going to give you what you put in. If you can put it in correctly, it can give it to you correctly, but you still need to read because you have to know that what you're now going to use makes sense. That's on you. That's not on the AI. So when we talk about communication, we started off talking about my mama and Miss Gloria, my mom and my dad, with that tick and the fact that they waiting on Unjerya to get home, like she was gonna handle it. And they know she wasn't gonna handle it. I happened to be on the phone. I told Unjerya he need to go to the ER. I need to go to the ER in this county, not that county. again, but I could say which county because I understood. Think about it, Unjaya. I understood what the communication was going to be like at one place versus the other place. And we need to go somewhere where people can comprehend what is happening and don't take 50 years to handle it
Yeah.
because time is of the essence. And that's the way it is with everything. But that's a perspective, that's boundaries, being okay with setting boundaries, you know? All of that is important. So, Anjay, I'm going to give you the last word or two, and then we're going to wrap this up.
Okay. Hello, Jesus Blackman. I saw you giving me the I work, Teresa.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I got my hand smacked last week, guys. So, we have to wrap this up. Um, I agree with everything that you said. I do definitely believe that it's important not to be so quick to respond because, like today at work, I had a situation where it took like I was copied on the email, and I was one of the people that was asked to kind of like provide some insight, right? But the other person just immediately responded back. And then the person that had sent the email, they responded back. And I'm like, okay, guys, like I've seen this before. Like, oh, I know what to do. I'm going to send this to the da 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 because this system needs to be unlocked. It'll resolve the issue. I just went through this. So as time goes by, I must have went to lunch. I don't know what happened. Anyway, when I come back, like my manager sees it and she was like, "Oh, I'm so sorry. Too late." Like now it's like she done sent an email, but her email was like after my email, and then she forgot to copy me on it. And then I see like the person that is on the receiving end of the email who I had reached out to, they're like, "Oh, I done sent this email, over to this team to unlock it, da 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 da." Again, I always say it'd be too many cooks in the kitchen.
He cooks in the kitchen.
Too many cooks in the kitchen. Slow down.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be like the hair. And it's funny because I told mom about that last week and she said, "So when did I talk to her?" It couldn't have been
When you there,
Sunday.
weren't you there Saturday?
I was
No, I
there
mean, weren't you there?
Saturday. So I must have talked to her. I don't know if I talked to her Sunday. No. I was there Saturday and I was talking about what we talked about last Tuesday. And she was like, "You know what? Your daddy was talking about the same thing with the hare and the tortoise." I said, "Oh, look at God. Won't he do it?" Okay. Because again, I know nothing about what be going on in Bible study, BT, Baptist Training Union. For those that don't know what BTU is, Sunday school. Yes, we still have that. Um, I knew nothing about any of that. So I was like, okay, all right, come through Jesus. Obviously, we were on to something. But let's not be the hare. Let's slow down. There's nothing wrong with being a tortoise and taking your time and actually reading what is happening, because what winds up happening in the end is we start talking over each other, because then
Mm-hmm.
it's like this person responding, that person. It's like you're layering, making a sandwich, right? You're starting with the bun. Okay, well, this person wants lettuce. Well, this person wants tomato. This person wants onion. This person wants pickles. This person wants mayonnaise. This person wants mustard. This person wants sweet pickles versus the dill pickle. This like so. I want turkey. You want ham. I want beef. You want spam. Whatever. Like we're all just like talking over each other because it's an email thread. It's not a
Mm-hmm.
phone call. It's an email thread. And as a result, we're all doing duplicate effort. They don't have to be duplicated. Because if we take the time, I know you want to say something. If we take the time to just slow down, like the tortoise, just slow it down and actually read what is happening before we respond. It's a it's a group of individuals that I work with. And I used to feel like every time I got an email from them, I had to immediately respond, because if I didn't respond, then I was going to hear how like they're not being responsive. And then I had to say, look, you are important, but you're not the only entity that I'm dealing with, right? So even though, yes, you may send this email at 8 o'clock, I may not get back to you to 8:30. And it's okay. Like, it's not the end of the world. There's no need to run it up and be like, oh, you're not being responsible. Honey, sometimes depending on whatever it is you're talking about, it may require some research. Like let's just calm down, because again, slow it down. Slow it down. There's no reason to rush through life, right? Like, I feel like when I was a child, but still a child, but I'm an adult child, but not childish. There's a difference. I used to be like, oh, I can't wait till I become an adult. Oh, I can't wait. I can do this. I'm going to be that age. I can do that. Baby, slow it down. Slow it down. I tell anybody now, I would do anything to be back in middle school, high school. I'd do anything to be back in marching band, throwing that flag. I'd do anything, not have no bills. Because adulting is rough, okay? Don't rush your life away. And it's like, I didn't understand what the old people would say when they were like, enjoy this time, because time is moving slow. But when you get older, time moves fast. Think about it. We in July. We
Yeah.
literally was just in May.
Yeah.
Forget June. I'm like, June happened, but it didn't happen. So
Yeah.
we have to take the time to slow down and also understand who you're dealing with. I always say, you got to know your people. Because when you learn who you're dealing with, you then also understand how I have to approach them when I'm conversing with them.
Mm-hmm.
I can't be direct with you, because maybe if I'm direct with you, you're going to think I'm arguing at you and I'm hurting your feelings. So I got to, what does Paula say? I got to stroke your ego and make you think that it was your idea to do whatever it was. I don't have time to be playing the mind games, but for some people you have to, right? You have to make them feel like it was their idea, even though it wasn't their idea, but that helps them be able to get off that pot. You know what I'm saying? It helps them be able to get off that pot. So understand that communication it's hard. It's something that doesn't come easy, and it's gonna be trial and error. That's really what it boils. It's gonna be trial and error, because depending on where that person is at this time when you're communicating with them, they may not be in that same place tomorrow. So how I communicated with you today, that may not be how you want to be communicated with 2 weeks from now. Because today you might can handle a phone call and actually be present in the moment. 2 weeks from now, you may be saying, okay, I need you to send that in a text message so I can read that, because I don't have the bandwidth. I don't have the capacity to even process what is being said to me.
Mm-hmm.
So as they say, read the room and know you
Mm-hmm.
learn your people. Learn your people.
Well, Unjay, I think that you did a good wrap up. And yeah, there's something I want to say. I'm going to use the tortoise and hare um, with my students. And maybe that will help them to understand it. And also, I think you're right. Um, that's the reason you have to take your time.
Yep.
How I'm able to communicate with you last week, I can't communicate with you that way this week, because as you said, you may not have the bandwidth, and I may not have the bandwidth to even give it to you the way I gave it to you last time. So that means then we're cross talking. Also, I think it's very important. I think that people, I think we talk about that microwave world, but it's not even microwave now. It's that instantaneous text world now. And I think that people sometimes forget that there are individuals who actually read, follow instructions,
Right.
then they do what is then requested. And when I think about email threads and things of that nature, you know, you ask someone to do XYZ, well, they're following the instructions. You haven't heard from them because they're following the instructions, or perhaps they haven't even seen it yet. Allow them the time to follow your instructions, because we also have to realize, just because, and you know how this is, just because you glued to your phone, just because you glued to your laptop, other people are not glued to their phone or laptop. Also, there are other things that may take priority. So they may have initiated a process waiting
Right.
on someone else to provide what's needed, but there may be other things that they're also working on. So when we send people emails or texts repeatedly without allowing people an opportunity to respond, you're only hurting yourself. Because if someone actually reads before they can respond, they are now going to read all these other emails that you have sent to understand how they need to respond now. Because how they respond on Tuesday at 2 o'clock is different than how they would have responded to your email at 6 o'clock on Monday. Because now you have fired off 7 more emails. So now they got to read these 7 additional emails so that they can respond to the latest one and have all the information. And I think professionally, we're bringing the social aspects into the
Yeah.
business arena's communication. Now, there's some great things that we do socially that can benefit the business, but communication, when it comes to getting things handled, we're going to have to back off that social,
Yeah.
because you're doing all that social, you're confusing people. There are too many people here. Allow people an opportunity to do what's required. Because as you stated so eloquently, I may have to do a little research. Just because I haven't responded doesn't mean that I'm not working on your issue. Now, as I stated, as I wrap this up, I normally don't respond. I leave things as unread. It doesn't mean always that I haven't read it.
Right.
Sometimes I've read it, but I'm thinking about how I'm going to respond. Sometimes I'm reaching out and consulting with someone else. So I leave it unread, whether it's a text, whether it's an email, personal or professional, it doesn't matter. I leave it unread so that I don't forget that I've
Yeah.
got to respond to that. Because once it's unread, that's it. It's over with for me. It's done. I'm not going to remember that there's a whole lot of stuff going on. You're not the only person that I'm working with.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to remember that. But if I keep it unread, then I will then respond once I have the information that I need to share, or once I've had an opportunity to think about that. As TD Jakes says, and I'll wrap this up, he says, I love TD Jakes, and some of y'all should have heard some of these sermons, but they might be old sermons, but don't matter, they're always good. He said, one way that men are like Christ, it takes them 3 days. Well,
Mm-hmm.
let me say it right. He said, you ask a man something like, well, what you think about this? He said, you ask your man, I don't know. I don't know. And so you move on. 3 days later, he said, you asked me, what did I think about that? I've been thinking about that. And blah, 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 blah. And you look at him like, what you talking about?
Right.
3 days ago, you asked me about
Mm-hmm.
XYZ. No, I don't remember that. Well, anyway, honey, 3 days ago, you asked me, what do you think about XYZ? And now I know how I think of what I think about XYZ. And he said, TD Jake said, that's one way that men are like Christ. They thinking. It may take them 3 or 4 days, but they thinking. And the thing is, because I always thought that was so funny, but for what I'm saying now, give people time to think.
Right.
And if you took the time to think what that woman meant to me, that my boy, one
Mm-hmm.
woman fed up, but that's not what I'm trying to go. But I heard aura in my head. If you took the time to think, you can answer your own question. Thinking ain't crowded. Grandma said walking won't gonna get crowded, but as I put in, Mama said, it's dangerous now. It ain't crowded, but it's dangerous. Thinking ain't crowded.
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you take time to think for yourself? Because if you could think for yourself instead of firing off all them emails and them texts back to back, back to back, back to back, back to back, you might can get somewhere in life. And on that note, it'll help you take care of you also. Because if you stop and think about what you're doing to yourself or what you're allowing other people to do to you, because we allow people to do this to us. They can't do nothing that we don't allow. Like I said to that person in my dream, you dismiss. I don't know what it's trying to tell me, but I turned to them and said, you're dismissed. And I didn't blink an eye. Because people can only do what you allow them to do. So I want you to learn to take care of you before you try to take care of somebody else. Because remember, you are the most important person. When you down for the count,
That's
nothing
it.
gonna get done. Nothing's gonna get done. So before you go trying to take care of someone else, make sure you take care of yourself first. And thank you so much for joining us tonight. Bye now.
Bye.
Bye bye.